Matter and Energy in Ecosystems, Unit Lesson 3.2, Total Carbon in an Ecosystem. Activity 3, the Carbon Game. Let's review what we've learned so far that helps us answer our question. If the amount of carbon changed in one part of a closed ecosystem, what happened to the carbon in the rest of the ecosystem? From the article, we learned that carbon moves from one part of the Earth's ecosystem to another. Remember that the processes of photosynthesis and cellular respiration transfer carbon between biotic and abiotic parts of the ecosystem. Carbon in abiotic matter is found in molecules like carbon dioxide, while carbon in biotic matter is found in the molecules that make up organisms, including the energy storage molecules they use to survive. We're going to play a game to see how carbon moves through an ecosystem. You'll track the carbon in each part of your ecosystem and make sure that organisms have enough to survive. Let's watch a video to go over how to play the game. Students, play the video. Set up your game with 6 carbon tokens in each part of the ecosystem and the cards face down near the game board. Before you begin playing, you will count and record the total carbon in the ecosystem, as well as the amounts of carbon in both abiotic and biotic parts of the ecosystem. Students, count and record the carbon before you begin playing. Record your final carbon numbers at the end of the game. Discuss the final question with your partner. Let's debrief the game as a class. What happened with carbon during the game? During the game, did the amount of carbon in biotic matter change? What about abiotic matter? The answer is yes to both. Sometimes carbon came into biotic form from the atmosphere or transferred out of biotic to the atmosphere. Did the total amount of carbon in your ecosystem change? The answer is no. There were 30 total carbon at the beginning and 30 total carbon at the end. After playing the game and reading the article, what did you learn that can help you answer the investigation question? We could say the game showed that the total amount of carbon in the ecosystem stays the same no matter what happens. It's just that the carbon moves around to different parts of the ecosystem when organisms die or eat others, or when things happen in the environment like fires, rain, sunlight, or disease. When there is more carbon in the abiotic part of the ecosystem, there's less carbon in the biotic part of the ecosystem, and vice versa. If the amount of carbon in abiotic matter increases, what is also happening to the amount of carbon in biotic matter? If abiotic carbon increases, then biotic carbon decreases. If the amount of carbon in abiotic matter decreases, what is also happening to the amount of carbon in organisms? If abiotic carbon decreases, then biotic carbon increases. Key concept. If one part of a system changes, this affects the rest of the system. In the game, you saw that carbon moves from abiotic to biotic through various biotic parts of the system and then from biotic to abiotic. This continuous movement of carbon through an ecosystem is often called the carbon cycle. If something stops carbon from moving through one part of the system, the rest of the system is affected. Since the total amount of carbon in a closed ecosystem doesn't change, when carbon increases in one part of the system, it has to decrease in the rest of the system. End of activity.